surface currents from satellite-based measurements. In that region, I had a set of moorings out in Lombok and Ombai, which are northwest and east of Sumba, and the currents were strongly towards the west during September in 2004. Based on our measurements, it would be impossible to float towards the east during September of 2004.
As to the fate of the other 3 initial survivors of the crash, only the Oceanic 6 know the truth. And they are not talking. No attempt has been made to recover their remains. And when thousands of Charlie Pace's fans asked Oceanic Air to help them locate Mimbata to build a memorial, they were met with an official runaround. Why? If the 6 are not flat out lying about the identities of the other 3, then they are at least suppressing information about their fate. Information some speculate might relate to how the 6 stayed in such top physical condition on the island. These photos have been printed and broadcast around the world as the very first images of the Oceanic 6 emerging from the sea. But ask yourself, do these people look like they've been stranded on an island for 108 days, living off coconuts and fish?
They would have the fish, which is difficult to catch, and the coconut, which is high in fat. But what they're missing is carbohydrate. And when a person is missing that, they end up burning their own fat stores for energy. And so therefore they lose weight. And once they lose their fat stores and become very lean, then they go into their protein stores, which is their muscle mass, and they begin wasting. And so you would have a great deal of loss. I'd say at least 25% in 3 months' time, which is 108 days or more.
If you compare these images from airport surveillance cameras taken on the day of the crash with these photos taken on the day of the rescue, it appears as if none of them lost significant weight. Which raises the question, did they have another source of food?
There's no way to maintain their body weight with just fish and coconuts. They had to have found some other source of food.
The human body contains approximately 100,000 calories. And though some are convinced this is the central lie the 6 are covering, that they consumed the remains of the other 3 survivors, it does not explain the other significant inconsistencies in these photos.
If someone was out on a raft or in open ocean without any shelter, they would be extremely sunburned. The skin blisters first, it turns super red, and as it heals, then it starts to peel and it sheets off. The pictures that I saw of them walking out of the ocean did not show skin damage and the effects of the sun.
Another obvious physical inconsistency is the 3 men's hair growth.
Now, keep in mind that when someone is starving and they're wasting, hair growth would slow. And they might even suffer hair loss, and maybe have patches of hair missing, but from a beard, that was probably somewhat substantial. Big beard. But these guys, they look, like they've had some kind of, ability to shave their skin.
It is also evident that Jack Shepherd's hair was cut during the 3 months in question. When you compare these images taken on the day he boarded the airplane with these on the day he was rescued, the length of his hair appears to be unchanged. The last physical inconsistency in these photos, one that simply has no explanation, is how the Oceanic 6 were able to change their clothes. All of which raises the question, where could the Oceanic 6 have been for 3.5 months where they could eat a high-caloric diet, stay out of the sun, shave, get their hair cut, and get a new set of clothes? Probably the most glaring point of contention in the official story is the birth of Aaron Austin on the island. Not because Kate Austin could not have given birth on the island, but because she was never pregnant in the first place. According to the official story, Austin had to have been 6 months pregnant at the time of the crash. The following is a radio interview with Security Officer Shiana Mitchell 2 days after the Oceanic 6 press conference.
All right, Shiana, you say you met Kate Austin on September 21st, 2004, the night before the crash. Is this correct?
Yeah, that's right. She was in the custody of a U.S. Marshal, and he needed some place to hold her for the night, so we just admitted her to the airport jail.
Okay, were you in a position to see whether or not she was pregnant?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was the one that admitted her, and seeing I was the only female on duty, I gave her the routine exam.
And is there any way, shape, or form, in your honest estimation, that she could have been 6 months pregnant at the time?
Nah, I mean, I've got 3 kids myself, and I know what happens to the body, and no, this bird was not pregnant at all, no.
1 month later, Mitchell released an official statement to the press, mysteriously recanting her story, claiming she is not a qualified medical person and therefore unable to determine whether or not Kate Austin was 6 months pregnant.
A fetus at 6 months is at least a pound and a half, and probably about this large. So a fetus is fully formed at 6 months. It's just waiting to mature for delivery. And a baby this large with the large amount of amniotic fluid is going to enlarge the uterus. So a woman who's 6 months pregnant has a significant enlargement of her abdomen. The only time a woman could be pregnant with a baby this large and not be showing is if she were obese. Kate Austin could have been pregnant, but Kate Austin was not 6 months pregnant. These ladies are 6 months pregnant. Their breasts are enlarged. They're preparing for lactation to feed the baby. The uterus is enlarged, which makes a woman look like she's carrying a honeydew melon. This is what a lady looks like when she's 6 months pregnant.
So if Kate Austin was not pregnant, where did Aaron come from? It's clear he had not yet been born on the day of the crash, and there is no official record of another pregnant woman being on board. Danny Barnes was passing through the Sydney International Airport on September 22, 2004, and met one of the other passengers of Flight 815 in an airport cafe.
I was going into the coffee shop to get tea, actually, to have a cup of tea, and I noticed that there was a girl, pregnant girl, talking to a pilot, and she was pretty pregnant. I was 7 weeks pregnant at the time, and just really felt like, I don't know, I could chat with her and see if she had some good advice. Anyway, so I approached her after the pilot left, and we just chatted about where she was going. You know, I know for a fact it was Flight